Okay, get this.
Uh-huh.
You're on a boat.
All right.
The sun is setting.
Yeah.
Suddenly, there's this bright light, and it streaks across the sky.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't disappear into the night.
Well.
It plunges into the ocean.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going deep today.
Okay.
We're exploring the connection between UFOs and water.
Interesting.
We'll be using excerpts from this documentary called Pasted Text.
Okay.
And it has all these interviews and investigations about these underwater anomalies.
Interesting.
So are we talking, I don't know,
Yeah.
secret government tech, misidentified natural phenomena,
Yeah.
or something even more extraordinary?
Right.
Let's find out. What do you think?
Well, what stood out to you?
I thought it was really interesting how the documentary right away highlights this global pattern.
Yeah.
We see these UFO sightings that have a strong connection to water all over the world. We're talking Brazil, Tampico, Mexico.
There's even footage
Really?
of an object that looks like it's diving into a lake.
Okay, so it's not just like a handful of isolated incidents, right?
Exactly.
What really stood out to me was this Rory Kramer.
Yeah.
He's this diver.
Right.
And he was using the side scan sonar, which basically it creates these images of the seafloor around the Channel Islands off of California.
Yeah.
And what he found down there is pretty wild.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Kramer, he finds these massive
Yeah.
structures, and they have these unusual shapes.
Okay.
And they seem completely out of place.
Yeah.
It's like someone put them there on purpose.
Oh, wow.
Then there's this ROV footage,
Okay.
which is from a remotely operated underwater vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And you see this light, and it's moving really fast.
Really?
Yeah, it's almost as if it's playing this game of cat and mouse with the ROV. It disappears as soon as the ROV gets close.
Yeah.
And then it reappears later.
Huh. So what do you think? What if we're not just talking about, like, passive objects here?
Right, exactly.
What if something is actually, like, observing us back?
Observing us.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
I know. Especially when you think about what the documentary says about those Native American oral histories from the region. They've been describing similar sightings for centuries.
Exactly, and that raises so many questions. Like, what have people been witnessing in those waters all this time? I mean, is it the same phenomenon we're seeing today?
Yeah.
Just with different technology.
Yeah, like different ways of seeing it. It's like we're peeling back layers of this huge mystery.
Exactly.
And it goes back centuries.
Centuries.
And it's not even just divers that are seeing things.
Right.
The documentary also talks to these commercial pilots, Chris and Trent, and they encountered these unexplained lights over the Pacific.
Yeah.
What do you think makes their accounts so compelling?
I think it's the fact that they captured video footage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's not just your run-of-the-mill light in the sky.
Okay.
These lights were moving in formations.
Wow.
They split into smaller lights. And they were doing things that regular aircraft just can't do. What I thought was really interesting was that these sightings, they often happened in areas where communication systems just stopped working.
So are we talking like
Could it be intentional?
intentional electronic jamming? Like, are these objects trying to avoid detection?
It's definitely possible. And it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
you know, if these are some kind of advanced craft, who's controlling them?
Right.
And what are they doing here?
It's a great question.
It is.
The documentary also talks about the Pentagon's 2023 AARO report. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, AARO stands for the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group, which is basically the government's official group for looking into UFOs. And their report said that there was no evidence of alien technology.
Yeah. And a lot of people didn't agree with that.
Right. And the documentary talks to George Knapp.
Yeah.
He's a veteran UFO investigator. And Chris Mellon. He's the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence.
I see.
They both say that the report is downplaying how dangerous UAPs could be, unidentified aerial phenomena, and that it might even stop further research from happening because it's so dismissive. That's a really important point.
It is.
If people in charge are basically saying, there's nothing to see here,
Nothing here.
will that make it harder for us to understand what's really going on?
I think it's a real concern.
Yeah.
Especially when you have someone like Mellon with his background saying that he has serious doubts about the report's findings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we can't rely on these official channels to give us the answers,
right,
where do we turn?
that's the question.
The documentary suggests that maybe we should look into
Okay.
potential crash retrieval events.
Mm-hmm.
Like, specifically this case in Council Bluffs, Iowa.
Oh, wow.
Back in 1977.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Why did this particular case stand out to the filmmakers, do you think?
Well, for one thing, people who saw it described seeing this molten mass falling from the sky.
Oh.
Yeah, pretty dramatic stuff.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is that the documentary brings in Jacques Vallée, who's this really well-known UFO researcher, and Dr. Gary Nolan, who was a top scientist. They both think this case needs another look because of what they didn't find at the site.
Okay, now you've got me hooked. What didn't they find?
Well, they didn't find any signs of factories or anything that could have produced this molten metal.
Okay.
And it didn't look like a meteor. So that just leaves the question. What was it?
So are Vallée and Nolan saying that this molten mass could be evidence?
Yeah, they're suggesting that.
It could be from a crashed UFO.
Did they find any physical evidence to back up that theory?
Yeah, they actually did. This investigator, Doug Lowe, interviewed Mike Moore, who said he saw the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah, and Moore didn't just describe what he saw, he actually gave Lowe a sample of the material.
That's incredible.
It is.
So we've got an eyewitness and a physical sample.
Right.
This is starting to feel like we're onto something big. But wait, didn't you say something about a possible hoax?
I did. It gets even more complicated because the documentary also has this guy, Darrell Levengood.
And he claims that he actually faked the whole thing.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
He says he used railroad welding devices.
So now we have a totally different explanation for the molten mass.
Exactly.
But how believable is Levengood's story?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
The documentary shows both sides, but it doesn't say for sure what's true.
So how do we know as viewers? I mean, how do we figure out if it's real or not?
That's where the physical sample becomes really important.
Yeah.
If it turns out that it's made of the same stuff that's used in those railroad welding devices, then Levengood's story makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But if it's something unusual, something that doesn't match up with normal technology, well, then we're back to thinking about a real UFO crash.
This is what I love about these deep dives. It's like
a puzzle.
A puzzle, yeah, with all these twists and turns. Just when you think you've got it figured out, something new pops up and changes everything.
Exactly.
But let's switch gears for a second. Before we get too caught up in the Council Bluffs case, let's talk about something really mind-blowing.
Right, I'm ready.
The search for ancient alien probes.
Wow.
This is where the documentary introduces Dr. Beatriz Villaralo, who's this astronomer who's looking for signs of alien activity in old astronomical data. How do you even do that?
It's really fascinating. She compares pictures of the sky from the 1950s to modern ones, looking for any differences.
Interesting.
Basically, she's looking for things that were there in the old pictures, but have vanished now.
So things that have disappeared from the night sky.
Exactly. What kind of things?
She's found vanishing stars, and these things called unexplained transients, which are basically objects that appear and disappear really quickly. And here's the crazy part. These observations are from before Sputnik launched, first human-made satellite. Wait, are you suggesting that these vanishing stars and unexplained transients could be alien probes?
That's possible.
That were here before we even went into space.
That's exactly what Dr. Villarreal's research seems to suggest.
This is incredible.
It is.
If these probes are real, it changes everything we thought we knew.
It really does.
About history and our place in the universe.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder, if these probes are real, what can they do?
Right.
And more importantly, what does their presence tell us about their interest in Earth?
I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, to be honest.
I know, it's a lot.
But also incredibly curious to learn more.
It's fascinating.
This deep dive is already exceeding my expectations.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, it is. I need a second to process all this.
I know, right?
Alien probes watching us before Sputnik.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's like science fiction.
It is. It is.
But she's a respected astronomer.
Yep.
It's hard to just dismiss it.
Exactly.
It really makes you question everything about our place in the universe.
Yeah. What if even just a small part of all these strange sightings are actually alien probes? What does that say about their technology?
Exactly.
I mean, they can travel between stars, maybe stay hidden for who knows how long?
Centuries, even?
It's mind-blowing.
It really is.
It is.
And as we've been talking about all these cases, the underwater structures, the pilot stories, council bluffs, and now these ancient probes, I've noticed something.
What's that?
There's a theme here.
Okay.
Water.
Water?
Yeah, it's almost like it's a key part
interesting.
of these UFO or USO encounters.
That's a good point, you know?
No, right?
Researchers have been thinking about that for a long time. There are a few theories.
What kind of theories?
Well, one idea is that UFOs use the oceans to hide.
Okay.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Oceans cover most of the Earth.
That's true.
It'd be the perfect hiding spot.
Right.
We've barely explored any of it.
Exactly.
Who knows what's down there?
Makes you wonder.
It does.
If they have such advanced technology, why not stay hidden until they're ready?
Or until we're ready.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an interesting thought.
It is.
There's also another theory.
Okay.
Maybe water is important for their technology.
What do you mean?
Like a source of energy or materials.
Wow, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
We always assume their tech is so advanced that they wouldn't need anything from us.
Right, but what if that's not true?
What if there's something special?
Yeah, what if there's something
about Earth's water?
About our water.
That they need.
Exactly.
It's a really interesting idea.
It is. It just shows how much we don't know.
I know.
About our own planet.
It's like this deep dive is really a deep dive into our own ignorance.
It is a bit humbling, isn't it?
It is.
But it's also exciting.
It is. I agree.
I think the takeaway here is that we need to be open to possibilities.
Yeah.
Even if they sound crazy at first.
Right.
We're always learning new things. Pushing the boundaries of science.
That's true.
So who are we to say what's possible?
And what's impossible
exactly.
when we're dealing with the unknown.
When we're dealing with the unknown.
It reminds me of that Carl Sagan quote.
Oh, yeah.
Somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known.
I love that quote.
Me too.
So true.
Speaking of incredible things, let's go back to Council Bluffs.
Okay.
Remember we left off with Doug Lau getting that sample from Mike Moore?
The eyewitness.
Yeah. And then there's Darryl Livingood.
Right. Claiming he faked it.
Yeah.
So what happened next?
What happened next?
Well, this is where Dr. Gary Nolan comes in.
Okay.
They gave him the sample to analyze.
Let's see if it matches the railroad stuff.
Yeah. If the material matches what Livegood described, then it probably was a hoax.
But what if it doesn't match? What if it's something we can't explain?
That would be really interesting.
Right.
That could be real evidence of a UFO crash.
Wow.
And Dr. Nolan is a serious scientist. He's known for his thoroughness.
Yeah.
So his results will be important.
No matter what they are.
Exactly.
So we end up with this big cliffhanger.
I know.
Is it a hoax or something extraordinary?
It's a good question.
And they don't tell us.
Well, documentary doesn't say.
Oh, man.
It leaves us hanging.
That's so frustrating.
But it's also kind of clever, don't you think?
What do you mean?
It makes us think about the evidence to draw our own conclusions.
Yeah.
It keeps the conversation going.
That's true.
Even after the documentary's over.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Me too.
It makes you think I'm going back and forth between being skeptical and being in awe. Part of me wants to say it's all a hoax, but then I think about all the witnesses,
the footage,
the scientists dedicating their lives to this.
Right. It's hard to dismiss all of it.
It really is.
I think that's what's so great about this topic. It challenges you to think critically, to question what you believe, and to be okay with not knowing everything.
To embrace the unknown.
Exactly.
And it reminds you that there's still so much mystery and wonder in the world.
There is. There is.
So much wonder.
Did you find Dr. Villarroel's research especially interesting?
Oh, yeah.
The ancient probes.
Totally.
Such a fascinating concept.
It really is.
It could change how we see history.
And our place in the universe.
Right.
If they've been here for centuries, who knows what they've seen.
What they've learned.
What they know about us.
Exactly. And what does it mean for us?
It makes you think.
It does. It does.
Are they just watching? Or is there a bigger plan?
Good question.
It's both exciting and a little scary.
It is. It is. I think we should approach it with curiosity, with wonder, not fear.
Yeah.
If those probes are real,
Mm-hmm.
they've been here a long time.
We're still here.
And we're still here.
You're right.
Maybe they're friendly.
Maybe.
Maybe they're waiting for us to catch up.
To catch up.
Technologically, I mean...
Or maybe they've moved on to something more interesting.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Wouldn't
blame them.
But seriously, the fact that we're even talking about this is amazing.
It is.
It shows how far we've come in accepting the idea of aliens.
A few decades ago, this would have been considered crazy.
Totally fringe science.
Conspiracy theories.
Exactly.
Now it's being discussed everywhere.
It is.
Even in the government.
The governments.
Universities.
Podcasts.
Yeah, podcasts like ours.
Exactly.
And I think that's progress.
I agree. The more we talk about it, the more normal it becomes.
Yeah.
The closer we get to the truth.
Whatever that truth may be.
Exactly.
I like that.
I do too.
So as we wrap up, what are some key things you want our listeners to remember?
I want them to remember that this search for answers is still going on. There's no one piece of evidence that will convince everyone.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of evidence that needs to be taken seriously.
It does.
We have to stay open-minded.
Open-minded.
Be critical, but curious.
I like that.
And maybe a little humble.
Humble.
Why humble? Because what we know about the universe is always changing.
That's true.
There are always new discoveries
waiting to be made
that could change everything we thought we knew.
I like that.
It's exciting.
It is exciting.
It's been great talking about all this with you.
It has.
And to our listeners, keep looking up, keep asking questions.
Keep exploring.
And never stop exploring the mysteries of the universe.
It's amazing how we've gone from lights in the sky
I know, right?
to underwater structures and pilots seeing strange things
It's a lot.
to even the possibility of ancient alien probes.
It is.
It feels like the more we learn, the bigger the mystery gets.
I agree. It's true. Every new discovery seems to lead to even more questions.
It does.
But that's part of what makes this so interesting, right?
It is. It's a constant process of learning and exploring.
Exactly.
What do you think, though? What's holding back more people, especially in the scientific community, from accepting the possibility of extraterrestrial life?
That's a great question. I think there are a couple of reasons.
Okay.
First, there's the whole thing about proof. Science relies on evidence.
Right.
And even though there are tons of stories about UFOs, there's not a lot of solid physical evidence.
Yeah, I get that.
You know, the kind that scientists can really test.
Right. It's like that saying. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Exactly.
And then there's the stigma.
Oh, yeah.
For years, UFOs have been linked to all sorts of fringe theories and conspiracy thinking.
It's true. And that makes some scientists hesitant to take it seriously.
They don't want to risk their reputations.
Exactly, or become a laughingstock.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But I think things are changing.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
Well, we're hearing from more credible people.
Okay.
And researchers like Dr. Nolan and Dr. Villarreal.
Right.
They're using real science to investigate these things.
Yeah, that does make a difference.
It does. And I think the stigma is fading.
That's good.
Yeah, more scientists and academics and even people in the government are willing to talk about aliens.
That's huge.
It is.
Do you think the internet has helped with that?
Oh, absolutely.
How so?
Information travels so fast online.
It does.
And people can connect with others
right.
who have had similar experiences.
Yeah.
It's created this worldwide community
it has.
of researchers and investigators and people who have seen these things.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and they're not afraid to talk anymore.
It's like the internet has made it easier for the truth to come out.
It really has. It's given a voice to people who might have been silenced before.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into UFOs and USOs, what do you hope our listeners will take away from all of this?
I hope they'll come away with a sense of wonder and curiosity about this amazing universe we live in.
Yeah.
There's so much out there we don't understand.
It's true.
So much to discover.
Embrace the mystery, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Don't be afraid to question things.
And explore the unknown.
Yeah, and remember the search for truth. It's a journey, not a destination.
Beautifully said. And to our listeners, if you're intrigued by what you've heard today, don't stop exploring.
Right.
Keep researching, keep asking questions, and keep an open mind.
It's out there.
Who knows what amazing discoveries are waiting for us? Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
On this incredible journey.
It's been fun.
It has. It has.